Hey guys, this is Cam from 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another movie review of the newest hit movie that is officially releasing today. As of me recording this video, I'm recording it Thursday night, but early screening times came out, and I managed to see an early screening of Jurassic World Dominion tonight. Funny enough, my watch time had to be interrupted because there was a fire alarm that went off in my movie theater, which it made me stay longer. So I'm guessing with what people were saying about this film, it would have definitely took away from their viewing experience, but it didn't really take away from my viewing experience. But I'm here to review the newest, biggest movie to set the movie theaters this summer. It's been a movie we've been waiting for quite a while, and that is Jurassic World Dominion, which is the third movie in the Jurassic World trilogy and is pretty much, you could say, the penultimate ending final movie to the Jurassic Park franchise or storyline, barring if they decide to make any more movies. I think for my own intrigue, I think you can say the Jurassic Park movies have run their course. There's nothing really kind of to tell left with these stories. And I think this was, I think it was needed for a ending, a final ending and stuff like that. So, what are my thoughts on the movie? First things first, I'm gonna give my non-spoiler thoughts, and then I'm gonna give my spoiler thoughts in the back of the video. So I'll definitely make sure I let you guys know when it's time to click off. But my thoughts on the film. Now, I've heard this film is very controversial with a lot of people. I know some critics and especially people on YouTube who review movies for a living pretty much. They ended up saying that they were disappointed in the film. And the film wasn't really to their liking, especially coming off of Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. Mind you, I made sure to rewatch all the Jurassic Park movies from movie 1 to 5, all the way to just refresh my memories and everything. But the number one thing that's going out there in the community in terms of this movie is not a lot of people are liking this film, and they honestly were kind of let down with this film and kind of either came out not liking it or disappointed. So I might be in the minority of people on YouTube. So if there are people that actually go see this movie and they actually enjoyed it, well, you'll be joining, I guess, me. I'm probably, like I said, a little minority of people that probably came out of the movie liking the movie. Honestly, yeah, I will say this: Jurassic World Dominion by no means is a perfect, great movie, nor is it a awful trash of a movie. I think it's a solid movie. That I think what I got, I think at the end of the day, based on your own opinions and story and your own thoughts on the story and everything, you can get some enjoyment out of it. I personally, when I watched the movie, got enjoyment out of watching the movie. I thought it was freaking wild and crazy with what we were getting in this film. But to other people, they felt like it wasn't much to their liking. So yeah, again, in terms of the cast from Jurassic World, like, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, they come back in this final film to reprise their roles as Owen Grady and Claire Dearing, alongside the girl Maisie, who her actress is Isabel Sermon, and stuff like that. Um, and they pretty much return along to pick up their story from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But the one thing that is also definitely one of the biggest marketing selling points of watching this film was seeing the iconic original cast members from the very first Jurassic Park movie reprise their roles, come back, and that was Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum. Even though he was in Jurassic World Dominion or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, he wasn't in as much as he is in this film. And then Laura Dern returns back to play her role as Ellie Sattler, Sam Neill as Alan Grant. And this goes into one of my positives of the film is I remember watching again. I rewatched the original, the all the movies up till now, and it's like watching the characters, the old characters, finally come back into the story after so many years had passed since we last seen these characters. But mostly it's like, you know, Laura Dern and Sam Neill playing back their original characters because, like I said, we saw Jeff Goldblum in Fallen Kingdom, even though we didn't get a lot of him in him. It was just kind of his perspective talking on the world that will change and everything. But regardless, all three of them on screen together and interacting and connecting again, it was great. It reminded me of the original Jurassic Park and everything. They have their own storyline that eventually matches into the storyline of the newer characters, or the Jurassic World characters and stuff like that. And I just loved it, just seeing these old characters interact with each other, like, you know, the way they talk through the film. You know, they really do act like they talk like it's been a very long time since they all talked, you know, since pretty much the last incidents of, I'm guessing, you know, in terms of Ellie and Alan, it's like been a long time since they talked, since like I guess Jurassic Park 3. And then, you know, it's been a long time since freaking, you know, Alan and Ellie talked with Ian Malcolm. So, you know, it was great to see that. And then also I did like the part when finally when the characters, the Jurassic World characters meet the Jurassic Park characters. It was great too, just to see these characters just interact with each other and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a good part. I thought another good positive in my opinion I found was pretty much just the hecticness of dinosaur action. um you know, I just thought some of the action scenes with the dinosaurs were really freaking cool. And goes balls to wall. There's a point in the middle part of the film, which honestly, if you ask me, was probably my favorite part of the film. um and stuff like that. Was this whole scene, if you see in the trailers, where they're in like that one, you know, town where you see on the trailer, in the trailers, Owen's getting chased by the raptors. I just love that scene. I think out of coming out of the movie now, realizing that was probably my favorite part of the movie, because that was probably like the crazy most hecticness of the thing, and I just loved everything that was going on there and stuff like that. So yeah. But those were pretty much it for my positives. My mixed portions, slash kind of guess you could say negatives, but it's more like mixed, is a lot of people have been making the reference to insects or locusts in a way. That's a very mixed thing. Personally, if you ask me, I won't go into spoilers. I didn't mind this bug storyline. But I can understand why maybe some people had an issue with it. But personally, if you ask me, I had no issue with it. I When I watched other people's non-spoilers reviews, they were pretty much making it sound like it was probably one of the worst story points in the movie. To me, it didn't really feel like that. That's why I put in my mix section, because it may, to some people, they might not mind it. And hell, I've seen some comments say, you know, honestly, I like the locust part, the bug part of the storyline that was involved in this movie. While you had some other people that didn't like it. If not, they absolutely hated it and felt like it was completely unnecessary and they couldn't have to do with it. The story, it's all right. I'll say that it's not uh the best. And another thing that might kind of somewhat turn people off this film, or what I've been seeing a lot of people like, is the fact that, you know, some people say it's not really focused on the dinosaurs as much. I think it has, you know, its moment. I'll say I think the movie has its moments where they focus on the dinosaurs, but this movie definitely comes across like a spy espionage mission type of movie, like a Mission Impossible and stuff like that. And that's kind of what this movie is kind of centered around. And it kind of, that's why it kind of makes it weird for characters, say like the older characters, because that's kind of like their storyline, which is a spy espionage mission, which not getting into details of the thing, it's a kind of a spy espionage mission in terms of their storyline. In a way, the Jurassic World characters have a different storyline compared to ours, but it's somewhat similar to that. But it was kind of like a spy movie type of thing with dinosaurs included. Personally, I can see issues with it. Again, like the bug thing, I didn't mind it and stuff like that as much. It did kind of wane on me, but I didn't mind it as much as maybe other people felt like it because they didn't like that element. And then I guess you could say the last thing is probably the main villain of the film. Now the main villain, I didn't he he's kind of just been your stereotypical main villain, and if anything, he was kind of a rehash of the dude from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Again, it's just your typical, corporate leader guy that is using this form of ancient technology to increase his brand and make himself a lot more richer and stuff like that. And obviously, the main characters have to find a way to expose what he's doing is wrong, and he's kind of just a generic villain, to be honest. You know, when I realized the actor we played, I was like, oh shit, which I was like, oh wow. I thought it was generic. There wasn't anything that really made him there wasn't really anything that made him special. He was just kind of your twirly mustache bad guy that was pretty much just doing things because his best interest, even though it's at the cost of potentially pretty much, I guess you can say, the world, but he's only about making the money and stuff like that and what benefits him. He doesn't look at it that way, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of it, but that's just my thoughts on positives and somewhat mixed slash negative portions. But other than that, in my opinion, I feel like I had a good time watching this. I enjoyed it, even though, nothing's perfect in this film. I had a good time watching it. And I feel like it is a fine enough way to end the franchise. To other people, it may not be. And I think before I get out of here with my non-spoiler review, I think the thing about Jurassic World Dominion is it's one of those controversial movies where you kind of obviously have to throw disbelief to the wall and just be like, okay, yeah, all right, this makes sense and stuff like that. But I think it really just comes down to what your thoughts on the movie are. I will definitely say this. Definitely lower your expectations before you watch this film, because if you go into the expectations thinking you're going to get some sort of like maybe like say an Avengers Endgame type of thing here in Jurassic World Dominion, and stuff like that, I'll be honest, you're not going to get that. It's kind of a more lower term like type of storyline, and it's definitely not as grandeur as say the trailers hype it up to be. But I think if you lower your expectations for this film and your original expectations for what you want for this movie, I think you can end up coming out liking it, even if you say some parts of the movie were disappointing for you, and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing, is why you see some of these reviewers say that they're either disappointed or they didn't like the movie as much, is because they probably had expectations up the ass because they watched these trailers and the trailers looked very enticing and everything. And again, like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I definitely do agree, especially with more modern medium, people complain for the slightest reasons if they don't like something in a film, and it's just like, maybe you guys probably should set your expectations a little bit lower, and you might actually end up liking a movie a lot more than maybe you not liking it. And I think people nowadays, they expect to see big budgeted, like crazy good storytelling movies, and maybe something's not like that. And maybe if you just lower your expectations, you can kind of get a view of where they went, of why the director went a certain direction, and maybe you can come out of the theater potentially liking it a lot more than say, oh, I'm going to the movie thing, I'm going to see like some sort of crazy Avengers Endgame like storyline or something like that. I think that's the thing about modern medium in terms of content creators and stuff like that. I think lowering expectations. I'm not saying you can't critique something. I'm not saying you have to love something or like something. I think the best thing to do is lower your expectations and you might end up enjoying something a lot more. I know when it comes to me lowering my expectations, I do like things a lot more than having these preconceived thoughts and notions and stuff like that. So yeah, but I enjoyed Jurassic World Dominion. I definitely think it's a movie everybody should check out, whether you like it or not. At the end of the day, but I enjoyed it. It's definitely going to be very mixed among a lot of people. Some people, there's going to be a crowd of some people that actually are going to love this movie and think it's really good, while you have another crowd of people who just think this wasn't what we were led up to believe that would be the penultimate ending to the franchise. But that's where I'm going to end this non-spoiler review. So in a quick little like few seconds, I'm going to get to my spoiler review. So if you've seen the movie, head over with me there. If you have not, click out the video, go see the movie, go and then go get your thoughts and stuff like that. Come back and get my thoughts on the spoilers. But other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully, you guys have a good rest of your day. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on Jurassic World non-spoiler and stuff like that, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more spoiler, if you want to get more movie content. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your day or night watching this video. Until then, guys, catch you guys later. Peace. Hey guys, Cam for 15, back with the spoilers discussion of Jurassic World Dominion. Well, this movie takes place after the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And obviously the ending to that was when the whole thing of, oh, the dinosaurs were in the little area with the dangerous gas. Either we let them die out, or if we release them, they go out into the wild, and pretty much they're in the end game, pretty much, in terms of dinosaurs roaming the earth. And we saw that Macy let them free and everything, and they had the whole cloning storyline going on and stuff like that. So yeah, in terms of my spoiler review, I don't think I'm gonna go in order other than just the beginning of the film. I'm just gonna kind of go all over the place and stuff like that. So pretty much in terms of what Owen, Claire and Maisie are doing, well, what we see with Claire's whole storyline at first is, since Dinah are, how the movie starts off is pretty much this news reporter pretty much, brings up about, dinosaurs living in the human world and how humans have to get adjusted to living with dinosaurs, and the fact that, it's something that people have to get used to a lot, because there's like, people are legitimately like dying out there because of dinosaur like accidents and stuff like that. And like we see this one part of the movie, where the mosasaur comes out and like literally flips a whole ship upon its, top side and everything, or flips it, and turns it upside down and stuff like that, just because a crew member was like fishing for crabs and stuff like that. And it's like, these people, it's just getting an adjustment to living with dinosaurs, and that was kind of one of the repercussions after the end of Fallen Kingdom by Macy releasing the dinosaurs, is the fact that, well, dinosaurs will now be living amongst the humans. And I will say that's kind of, I should have put this in a negative. I kind of really did wish they focused more on that. They only really focus on that portion in the start of the movie, and they really kind of don't go back to it. They just bring it up in the start of the movie, and they bring a little bit of it at the end of the movie, when pretty much they say, well, we just gotta live alongside dinosaurs and just freaking survive amongst them, and just learn to live with them in the area, which I wish they dove a little bit more into that. They didn't dive into much of that as much as I thought, and that's why I said that's when we get the spy espionage mission. But apparently, we find out that the thing that's also the thing is, Maisie is also like kind of on like a watch term, and that's when we kind of see where Claire, she actually works alongside the two characters we saw in Fallen Kingdom, the one chick and then Justice Smith's character. And they pretty much are doing like a thing of saving dinosaurs who pretty much are being hunted and trapped, and pretty much kind of like breed for their own, reasons and stuff like that, forcefully breed it. Pretty much it's like underhanded, dirty tactics in the in you know in the underground market when it comes to these things and stuff like that. And we even see it in the one in the city scene, in that one city scene and stuff like that. How there's like an underground market for these dinosaurs and stuff like that. Um, and people end up doing bad things and stuff like that. And that's kind of like a thing with the repercussions of this is like, oh, the dinosaurs released upon the world on the world, but some people actually are using dinosaurs to their advantage and just using to take advantage of them for their own underhanded dealings because they know they can make money off these dinosaurs and stuff like that. So yeah, we have it to where that's kind of the whole thing. Justice Smith is kind of sick and tired of doing this whole operation of saving dinosaurs, but at the same time risking their lives. And he's like, dude, I've got a like legit paying job that's in the waits for me. I'm not doing this anymore and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of it. They make that now. Justice Smith's character makes like another cameo a little bit later in the film, but the one chick we saw from Fallen Kingdom who was in Claire's little group in the last film, she makes this one early movie appearance, and she's never seen or heard of again. I don't know why they dropped her, but okay. Hopefully they got paid a lot of money. Excuse me, to be in the film for that amount of time. But we see how pretty much they're living in Nevada in that one area where Owen was actually building his cabin house we saw at the start of Fallen Kingdom, where he was building there, and that's where him, Claire, and Macy are all living at. Pretty much Owen and Claire taking Maisie in as if they were her daughter. And also too, we have it to where, well, no, Owen and Claire, they have a legit relationship. They got back together. They have a legit relationship. At first, we see in the first part of the movie, like Justice Smith's character's like, so what about Owen? And I'm like, wait, did they break up again or something like that, or split up again? But no, they've been together they got back together after the events of Fallen Kingdom. Pretty much, of course, that especially after those events of those movies and the fact that they have to take care of Maisie. And the thing is, they're kind of like holding Maisie under like kind of lock and key because with people out there potentially looking for her, they say, well, we got to make sure, you don't go out and everything, you cross this bridge because you get snatched up and everything. That's what happens eventually later to her, and that begins the whole storyline. We see Blue and her baby, baby, which we later find out the name's Beta, which is what Maisie calls Blue's raptor. And just to get off topic, if you thought this whole Blue element of the movie would be something important, like Blue was in the first two Jurassic World films, Blue shows up pretty much at the beginning of the film, and then at the end of the film when Beta is finally returned to Blue, and after that, Blue does nothing. Blue honestly takes a backseat in this film. I don't honestly know how I feel about that, especially with the standpoint that Blue was very important in the last few films, but they didn't go out to make it to where, Blue is a very important part of this film. It's just kind of like, oh, you have it to where Blue's baby gets taken away. Beta gets taken away by the poachers, as well as Maisie gets taken away and stuff like that. But you create a bond between Beta and Maisie, even though that's kind of not a thing there and stuff like that. But the one thing we do see with Blue is kind of Blue's demeanor changes a lot. Because we see in the moment where we see it where Beta shows up where Macy's just chilling. Macy gives Beta her bread, but Blue automatically shows up. Owen's like, okay, you need to stay back and everything, and Macy's like, Blue won't do anything to us, right? And Owen's like, nah, she's going to pretty much mess our crap up if we freaking mess with her. And we come across this enemy because she has a baby now, and she has a baby now, and she's gonna be very defensive because of it. So yeah, Blue doesn't really do anything in this film, just shows up and stuff like that. The only thing he does is like pretty much bites Owen for the baby. But I did like how the end of the film, when Beta's return to Blue, I did like that one moment where Blue in a way kind of said goodbye to Owen, and in a way kind of said thank you for bringing my baby back. Like, you did get a nice little moment between Owen and Blue right then and there. I definitely did like that. These characters are definitely a whole bond of a character from the start, from the very first Jurassic World movie and stuff like that. It's kind of just that whole thing. But I was really shocked to see that Blue wasn't really much in this film. I thought like Blue would be integral to this film and trying to do anything at its cost to find Beta, but no, Blue does nothing. And it's well, and that's where we get Owen and Claire's whole storyline of their mission is not only getting Beta back, but saving Macy because she gets abducted by poachers as well. Because we later find out the main villain of the film, which is Lewis Dodgson, played by Campbell Scott, is running this tech company. I forgot what it was. This company that pretty much he's trying to use it to as kind of it's kind of those things where these companies you see in these video games or other movies, they put up this front where, oh, we think we're supporting the public and everything and stuff like that, but we're ultimately not. We're doing these shady dealings and stuff like that, which kind of leads into the legacy characters, the Jurassic Park characters. And we get this scene where these kids are just on this farm, and all of a sudden we see this gigantic ass locust, which is definitely, like I said, a very mixed story point. I didn't mind the locust storyline, to be honest. I thought the locust storyline, honestly, kind of made sense in all honesty, which I'll get into in a few seconds. Why, honestly, I didn't really have any problems. Now, apparently, a lot of people had problems there, and it's funny because when I heard the videos when I watched the non spoilers review, they're like, oh yeah, locusts, they're bugs. But these locusts are pretty much like ancient locusts from the time of the dinosaurs and shit like that. Thank God we don't have locusts. Well, we have locusts, but they are not at the size of that. They're pretty much like indestructible locusts. And these locusts pretty much ravage these fields and stuff like that. And then that's when we're reintroduced to Laura Dern's character, Ellie Sattler. Again, it was great to see Laura Dern reprise her role as Ellie Sattler. Like, it's been such a long time since, she played the character. My goodness, I don't know. The one thing I will say about the legacy characters is they look like they haven't aged a day in their life. Now, you can clearly see that they're older, but they legitimately, all the actors look exactly the same from when I originally saw them from the original Jurassic Park film. And the thing is, she's just kind of been looking into this whole locust thing for the time being and stuff like that. And the thing we find out is these locusts are eating up regular people's crops. But when it comes to, I think the company's like Biotech or something like that, or Biomech. I forgot what it was called. It's a bio something, Biotech. I'm just gonna say Biotech. The thing is, these locusts don't eat the biotech fields, and pretty much we have it to where Ellie goes at a dig site where Alan Grant is at, still digging up bones and stuff like that, and you get a very nice reunion between the two and stuff like that. The one thing I did find hilarious is how, kind of, I guess you can say, in a way, Alan Grant was just kind of like but shocked at the same time. Like, he's kind of stuttering or somewhat embarrassed slash like, you can clearly see he was flustered because we know the ongoing thing is, if you watch the original Jurassic Park movies, he did have a thing for Ellie, which was always an interesting thing when it came to me when I watched the original movies, is the fact that you can clearly see in the first movie, they had a chemistry going on where it's like, okay, they should definitely, especially after the events of Jurassic Park, they're more than likely going to hook up and just, forget this dinosaur stuff. But you get to Jurassic Park 3 and you find out, oh no, she married a completely different person. She had her own kids and stuff like that. And you're thinking, how are these characters not even hook up or anything, and stuff like that, which at the time was just Alan just continued doing his digging bone stuff, and we knew Ellie was kind of done with it because she had those traumatic experience from Jurassic Park, which I loved how, when later in the film, when her and Claire were interacting a bit, one of the things was, I think it was Claire that asked, or I think it was, I forgot, it was one of the characters that asked between the two is like, do you still have nightmares about your incident with what happened with the dinosaurs? And, one of them replied, I still do to this day. And I'm like, yeah, I think that would be traumatic for anybody. I know I'd be traumatic and shit like that because that's something where you want to freaking deal with and stuff like that. So that was something that was freaking insane and everything. Um insane and everything. But that was the thing about these characters. That was the thing about these, these two characters is like Alan and Ellie, you can clearly see that they have chemistry and like how they never fall. But we find out some things about Ellie is the fact that her kids have obviously grown up. They're pretty much in college and everything. But the thing is, she recently, she got a divorce with, her husband, and she's pretty much single. And and the thing is, she gives a lot of innuendos of like, I'm very lonely and stuff like that. And she was always telling them, and I'm like, and I know when I was watching this part of the film, and there was even a little bit of clip on YouTube about this, and I'm like, they're gonna hook these characters up at the end of the film, aren't they? And we later eventually see that they eventually get hooked up, which was probably one of the more predictable things. Honestly, I loved the cap off because it's them finally realizing like, no, we truly do love each other after everything we've been through together and stuff like that. So I definitely did like that conclusion to their storyline, because it was the whole thing of these two characters just coming together one final time and then realize going on this last adventure with each other and then realize, shit, we got a lot of chemistry. Like, I'm telling you, when it comes to Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler in this film, in terms of the innuendos of, oh, will they, won't, will they give it a lot. They give up hints. You can tell from the moment they first meet each other, like, oh yeah, these characters gonna hook up by the end of the film. But apparently she asked Alan Grant because Alan's like, okay, I know you're not here just to catch up with me. And she's like, well, yeah, I'm not. She pretty much shows him the locust and is like, listen, I was given a rumor that biotech is producing these locusts to, pretty much kill the entire crops. And if this continues on, we could be at a world epidemic, because if there's no grains, then the regular creatures, like say chickens, for example, they won't be able to find ways to eat. They'll die out. And then this could be a whole problem where we could literally end up dying off because there's a few food shortage because of this. We later find out the only reason why biotech is creating these locusts is, again, to sell their own to sell pretty much their own crops and everything to people, so then they can make more money. Which, like I said, that's why I wasn't really bothered as much of the locust plotline, because it's kind of a interesting, even and as well as, even though Dodgson wasn't as good as a villain, it's kind of a crazy, like it is still kind of sinister to say, let's create these monsters, these bugs that eat up crops and everything, but at the same time we'll make crops that they won't eat and stuff like that, and it will only make us more money in the tank ultimately. And that's why I didn't feel like the locust plot line, the locust part of the story wasn't so much of an issue. I feel like they were executed well within the film, from the standpoint they're there for a reason. It's for the bad guy to further prove his knowledge, and at the same time it's a way for Ellie's character to pretty much get the dirt out about biotech and what their inner dealings and why they're a shady company, and stuff like that, and she wants to get this information out. We find out she was invited by Ian Malcolm to go to their headquarters because Ian Malcolm can help them get on the inside and figure out a whole thing. And that's why their storyline is pretty much a spy espionage mission, while Owen and Claire's storyline is kind of a search and rescue mission. And it kind of combines into both when they both meet up and everything, and stuff like that. But that was kind of the thing there. with what's going on there. They get to pretty much the biotech company and everything. They have the nice encounter with Ian Malcolm, which he saw them. He was like, oh, well, he was his quirky freaking self, and I could easily tell that Alan Grant was getting pissed off by this guy, and stuff like that. I just love Jeff Goldblum. He plays like one of the weirdest characters in the franchise. But another new character we're introduced also as well too is Ramsey Cole, played by Mahmoud Do Athi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he pretty much also is another guy that is alongside Ian Malcolm, and he's a good character. I thought he was gonna be the ultimate. I thought he was gonna be like a bad guy, but no, it's the boss. We later find out he was kind of another mole within the inside of the biotech company that kind of fed Ian Malcolm this information of what Dodgson was doing behind the scenes and why it wasn't right and why this needs to get out and everything, and stuff like that. And honestly, ultimately, I liked his character a lot. I feel like he was a very honorable character that was willing, that he knew, like, no, this shit ain't right. I want to do the right thing, and the best thing to do is, hey, call some very important people that have a very high reputation because they were the first people that dealt with Jurassic Park and everything, and stuff like that. In the meantime, eventually Owen and Claire bring it up to what the events of what happened to Justice Smith's character, and we find out he's kind of working for like pretty much the CIA, pretty much this intelligence, governing like criminal based operations, and he pretty much hooks them up with the guy that stole Macy and Beta away and stuff like that, and they're in this whole different country, and we actually get the return of a Jurassic World character, Owen's buddy from the first Jurassic World movie, the one black guy. I'm trying to find his name. Omar Barry Sembine, played by Omar Sy. He actually returns in this film, which I thought was really cool because I always wondered when I watched Fallen Kingdom, like, why not bring this guy back? He was like best friends. He was boys with Owen and everything. And I really did like this guy. I really did. I really ultimately did like that guy, his character and everything. And I was wondering, like, why didn't he show up in Fallen Kingdom? Well, we find out this guy pretty much is a spy, and he kind of is a spy with, in pretty much giving information out of what's going on in the black market and everything. And Justice Smith's like, this guy, he can get you in and stuff like that, and he can help you out and everything. So I definitely did like Barry's return to the Jurassic World movies, even though it's in this one scene. It was still damn good to see him again because I was like, I loved when Owen Grady and him dabbed it up. They were like, man, how you been, man? I'm like, this was really good. I liked it. I liked it. But we have it to where this one person, this one like Asian lady, I forgot what her name was. I forgot what her name was. Yeah, I think her name was Soyona Santos. But she's like she was hired. She was a hired, like, I guess you can say, spy, a reconnaissance spy person that Dodgson hired, and we find out that he pretty much wanted Blue at the same time, wanted wanted Maisie for his own reasons. Now we also see Henry Wu in this film, and I thought, okay, is he? I figured he was a guy that also helped fund this guy because this guy was like, this guy's been through every single Jurassic Park movie, funding the most recent, technological advanced dinosaur, and had some sort of involvement in them. For once, we see at the end of the film, we finally learn the errors of his way. And I freaking loved it at the end of the film when he like, hey, listen, please get me out of here. I know a way so we can kill the locusts off and everything. And his whole thing was, he was telling dogs, and listen, we could literally go extinct. The world, you're literally killing the world with these locusts and stuff like that. If we get the blood of Blue's baby and even get a little bit of blood and do some tests on Maisie, we can find a way to save the planet and kill off these locusts and stuff like that, because these locusts are very hard to kill, and stuff like that. And another thing that is the one thing I did like is the fact that they were locusts from pretty much the dinosaur times. These weren't modern day locusts. Like that's another thing what I like it's bugs from ancient time. No wonder why they look a lot bigger and everything and stuff like that, and why they'll be more deadly and stuff like that. But I can understand why some people didn't like the locust plot line, but that's just me. But yeah, that was kind of Henry Wu's whole thing. He actually was a good guy for once. He wasn't doing any things like we saw in the previous Jurassic Park movies and the previous Jurassic World movies, where he was kind of just doing it to help fuel, his most craziest idea of creating this crazy, you know, you know, genetically modified dinosaur and stuff like that. For once, Henry Wu, we get a Henry Wu who's kind of after all these years, realized, oh shit, my research is not actually doing good. If anything, it's gonna kill all of mankind. And like I said, at the end of the movie, when all the characters see Henry Wu, I loved it when Ian Malcolm comes in, he's like, wait a second, I know you. You're damn near the cause of everything that's been going on since the start. Which I'm just like, I died out loud in the theater because I'm like, hey, he's not wrong. He's because Ian Malcolm was like, bruh, if it weren't for your ass, we would never be in this predicament. There would be no damn dinosaurs. We wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't even be here and stuff like that. I just loved how Ian Malcolm called him out and shit like that. And then he's like, wait, is that a fucking dinosaur on your back, on your shoulder? And I was like, yeah, it was a dinosaur. Again, I told you, Ian Malcolm is freaking hilarious. He has like some of the best jokes in the film, man. I kid you not. He's like the most funniest character of the film. But like I said, they're doing a spy espionage mission. But again, they're doing a spy espionage mission, and stuff like that. And going to the Maisie whole thing, we later find because the whole thing was the fact that Maisie was a clone of her mom. But it's pretty much like that with a little bit of a twist they add. Pretty much, the thing is, we thought that her mom died at a young enough age or something like that, but we find out the reason why she died is because she had like some sort of brain disorder. And the thing is, we find out that pretty much the specialty of Blue, which has the same conjecture as Maisie's mother, is the fact that they can pretty much reproduce asexually. They don't need a mate. They don't need the opposite sex to, well, do the dirty and get them pregnant. No, they can get. The thing is, we find out that Blue, pretty much the way she had her baby, is she pretty much is asexual. She can get pregnant and create her own child. The same thing with Maisie's mother. And we also find out she died from a brain disorder and everything after Maisie was born. And since they're pretty much identical, pretty much Maisie's mother completely changed her whole Maisie's genome structure, her DNA, pretty much, to where things that would have happened to her, like the brain disorder, it wouldn't have not happened to her. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird twist, I guess you can say. It's just weird. In some ways, it makes no sense, but it's like, okay, I'll take it. And that's why I said the story's kind of hit or miss. It is what it is and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the thing there, and that's kind of why we see where Dodgson doesn't want this to be revealed, because he's like, Maisie's like is the key to everything for me and stuff like that. So, and we need to understand what makes her, why her DNA is like that and stuff like that, and what they did to her, stuff like that. But going back to the Owen stuff, like I said, this is when it becomes, the action goes balls to the wall. Eventually, they have to stop this whole thing to find out where Maisie was taken. And they're chasing the guy who took her. It turns into a whole chase scene with the velociraptors and shit like that. And we find out that pretty much they make these damn dinosaurs be like based on like words. In a way, these dinosaurs are like the freaking we see these velociraptors. They're kind of like the Indoraptor, where, you show them this red dot, they'll be fixated on you. The only difference is they don't need that freaking button. It's just kind of a command button. They say, go follow them, or it's just you point this little dot at them and the raptors see it. They're already programmed and they go strictly after them like they're freaking hunters and shit like that. And you get this crazy action scene where Claire's running away from a freaking running away from this Velociraptor. You have the scene in the movie, or you see in the trailers where Owen's riding the motorcycle, getting away from the Raptors. I thought that was like probably the best part of the movie, for in my opinion. Like I was like invested in this shit, and at the same time, motherfuckers getting eaten up by dinosaurs. Like when shit goes crazy in this underground scene. Like you see it from the freaking trailer when Owen's riding the bike, riding away from these damn Velociraptors, who are already targeted on his ass. You see the friggin' the horned dinosaur friggin' just chomp up and eat people out of nowhere. Which honestly, I was dying of laughter when it came to that stuff happening, where it's just the damn dinosaurs just eating people out. Again, whole thing of dinosaurs just being in the world, just being, and we also see this like underground market where this underground stuff is dinosaurs. At the same time, we see Claire runs into the character of Kayla, played by DeWanda Wise, who I thought she did a really good job in her role, and I really did like her character. I thought she was a really badass woman in this film. Like she really killed it in this film, and she was kind of against helping Claire and stuff like that. And she was like telling Claire, like, listen, you don't know what you're gonna get yourself into. Just stay away from the wrong people, and you'll be good. But in the chase of the Velociraptors, Claire ends up, jumping off this thing. She sees her. He's like, okay, I can take you to my plane to help you and get out of there, because she felt sympathy for Claire in terms of wanting to get Maisie back, and stuff like that. So yeah, you get this crazy hectic scene. It all ends up with, Owen eventually finding out where Maisie's been taken to. In the meantime, you have this like cute looking dinosaur and stuff like that. Funny enough, in this underground scene, they legitimately had dinosaur fights, like these small dinosaurs fighting with each other, which is, I guess you can say, it's like underground, the time when people were forcing dogs to fight, especially if the Michael Vick thing going on with the dog fighting. It's kind of what it was there, which honestly, if you ask me, I'm like, unique way for dinosaurs, and you got these like baby looking dinosaurs like pitted up to fight each other, and people betting thing. But at the same time, eventually the guy gets, what I found freaking hilarious is the guy gets downed by Owen. He eventually gives up telling the information. The one little cute looking dinosaur is biting one of his arms on the one end, while then you have this little baby horn dinosaur freaking literally have his whole arm up in his mouth. Like, kid you, like literally this little horn dinosaur, I think it's like the Carnotaurus or something like that. It was in that dinosaur movie, that Disney dinosaur movie, all the way back a long time ago, if you know what I'm talking about. Or that one horned dinosaur, you saw in Jurassic Park 3 when they were getting the phone out of the poop of the Spinosaurus and stuff like that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But this little horned dinosaur had the freaking dude's arm all the way up to like right here. And I'm like, God damn, this thing is eating. All of a sudden, this Allosaurus comes out of nowhere and just like, huh? And then he literally takes a bite, chomp out of his head. Dude's dead. And Owen's just looking at this, and he's like, I'm like, damn. I'm like, these dinosaurs ruthless up in here, bro. Honestly, there was definitely not enough dinosaur kills. I will say that. That's another negative of mine. There was not a lot of dinosaur kills. I'm thinking that I'm going to see dinosaurs just kill people, bro. I'm thinking I'm going to be seeing some damn T-Rexes, Velociraptors on the street murking ninjas, bro. I didn't see that. There was only a few times. That was probably my most satisfied dinosaur killing, alongside probably the Dogson, the Dogson kill, the Dogson kill with the Dilophosaurus, which I'll get into in a bit too, and stuff like that. So yeah, they end up getting taken. They end up getting a freaking ride on by Kayla on her plane. They end up having to get split up because it's pterodactyl, because they're in the vicinity area, and it's like a no fly zone. They can call off. Well, when the fly zone is turned off, well, the freaking pterodactyls have full right to attack a plane. That's what this pterodactyl did. Claire had to be left alone, had to be parachuted off and everything. She gets split up from the group. While Kayla and Owen, they have to escape this one feathery looking dinosaur you saw in the trailers from the ice thing, which was crazy and stuff like that. They get away from there. while Claire has an interaction with this freaking I don't even know what dinosaur this is. It was a dinosaur with long freaking claws, long nails. Gets away from that, and like again, you see that in the trailer when she's under the water and the thing's like ah and stuff like that. At the same time, we also get introduced to the Gigantosaurus, which is the new big bad dinosaur in this film, and stuff like that. Which is people say it's the largest, which people in the film say it's the largest carnivore dinosaur out there. I thought it was like a modified dinosaur, but I'm guessing it's a legitimate dinosaur unless I need to go do my research. Yeah. But it's a legitimate dinosaur. So yeah, they found, they always try to find a dinosaur bigger and unique. So they called it Gigantosaurus. Okay. It was interesting. I felt like it didn't do much, and it wasn't really as menacing. Like when you get the full cast meeting together and stuff like that, and they have that scene of avoiding it, it was kind of the whole thing. The final battle with the T-Rex and the Gigantosaurus, as well as the inclusion of the freaking long, sharp, clawed dinosaur. I thought that fight was fine for what it was. Nothing too grandeur, nothing too grand scale. So yeah, but anyways, the thing is, when we come back to the old characters, Ian Malcolm kind of gives Ellie this this little watch thing to be able to access the underground parts that they're not supposed to have access to, and stuff like that. And that's where they can find the locus to get the sample they need to see, okay, was this made by biotech and everything, and what's going on, so we can frame these guys and stuff like that. So you have to kind of, that's when the espionage mission thing comes in. The bug thing almost goes wrong because, something, I forgot what happens, but yeah, at the same time, oh yeah, that's when Macy escapes with Beta and everything. Beta runs on its own, while Macy runs on its own. It ends up leading after the locust incident. You get a moment to where it's like freaking, you look at where Macy runs into Alan and Ellie. It looks like Alan and Ellie are like damn near looking like they about to get it on the floor or something like that. Or they about to kiss or some shit like that. After that traumatic locust experience, and she's like, "So, hey, what's up?" It's funny because the thing is, Macy was like, "So, are you guys like dating or something, or married, or do you two have kids?" And they're like, no, we're, yeah. I'm like, again, if you making the references, the innuendos of like, oh, are these two characters together and stuff like that, and everything's. But the thing is, Dodgson eventually finds out, oh, Ellie and freaking, Alan were, getting a sample and stuff like that. He calls in Ian Malcolm and stuff like that, says, "You're fired." Malcolm pretty much says, "What you're doing is wrong." Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And stuff like that. And he was telling the employees, "Don't work for this guy. This guy's just going to only looking out for his own, reasons, and he's using you to do it and stuff like that." So, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. Like I said, the Dodgson wasn't really invested into this, and you can kind of tell from the moment he shows up on screen. Like, I think the first part on screen, like they show an ad of his company and he's there, and like you can easily tell that this guy's the bad guy of the film, especially when it comes to Jurassic Park movies. Always the freaking corporate minded people are the bad guys in these films because yada yada yada. Yeah, the thing is, when dude finds out Alan and Ellie were doing this and stuff like that, he forcefully stops the little train that they were on, and stuff like that. They end up having an interaction with I forgot what dinosaurs it was. I know I've seen it, and this type of dinosaur was in the Power Rangers Dino Thunder series. It was that light blue dinosaur Megazord, but it was the thing with the big frills on the thing. I forgot what dinosaur it was called, but they almost damn near get smushed by it, just by this car, are almost getting eaten until Ian shows up, saves them. Well, it was kind of the dude. It was kind of Ramsey that saved them by putting in the code to get them out of there and stuff like that. And that's kind of, they're driving away to get to where they need to get to. In the meantime, Dodgson, he sets the locust on fire, which the locust escape. They pretty much burn this entire dinosaur safe haven on fire and everything. Again, they end up crashing. The legacy characters end up crashing. Because of it, they end up running into the Jurassic World characters, you get that nice interaction. You get a very emotional reunion between Maisie, Owen, and Claire. That was the whole thing, as well as again the characters meeting each other for the first time. And again, like I said, I just loved the interactions between them. Like I loved like Alan Grant and Owen Grady's, thing of the fact how Owen's like, yeah, I read your books about what you did, and then Owen, then Alan's like, yeah, but I heard your work about what you did on Jurassic World with the raptors and everything and stuff like that. And it's funny because even we have it later where Ian brings it up and he's like, and Owen's like, no, I didn't control them or anything. I didn't tell them what to do. It's kind of just a mutual thing of respect right there. And stuff like that, which it was cool. But actually before that, the Claire stuff, when she had came into these encounters of the dinosaurs, one of the most chilling ones, I would say. Some when it comes to like the dinosaurs having these chilling like chase scenes or moments, it is pretty chilling. I honestly have to accept it like it's chilling. One of the chilling ones with Claire was the whole the Dilophosaurus scene. Like, and mind you, we haven't seen the Dilophosaurus since Jurassic Park 1. And she gets to this one building, and then you just hear the the little Dilophosaurus noise that they be making and stuff like that. And then you see it, and you're like, bah. And you just remember what happened to Nedry in the first film. And you're like, Claire is fucked. And then lo and behold, you have it to where this one Dilophosaurus was right in your face, and you're just like, she is dead. And the thing opens up its frill, and it's like, and the frills are all thing. But right as it's about to spit its freaking spit, you have it to where Owen comes in, close its mouth, and it's like having it forcibly choke, and you see the like spit and everything come down his mouth. It just passes out, and he hits it away. I'm like, oh dang, I really lost lot to say. I'm like, is Claire gonna really get spat on? Because the Dilophosaurus spit, it's like crazy, like it's acid that makes you pretty much a part of your body, like freaking paralyzed pretty much. And that's when they get you and shit. And she was surrounded by these damn Dilophosaurs, but because Owen came back and saved her, which was so dope and everything, and very nice and everything, that was the whole thing. But yeah, that was the thing is they have to find a way to get off this safe haven so they can be able to show off the sample of what was going on and stuff like that. You have it to where Owen, Maisie, and Alan, they go to they go to get Beta. In the meantime, Ellie and Claire, they want to go reboot the system, which is kind of like a callback to Jurassic Park 1, which that's the similar thing they had to do to get that control room operating and stuff like that. So that was kind of the whole thing there. Again, that was a funny scene. In the meantime, also too, we get a scene where Dawson tries to leave, and we actually see the can from the very first Jurassic Park movie with the samples of those dinosaurs in it. Now, that's been years. Also too, how the ever living hell did that bottle can that bottle Nedry had? How did this guy get that? Because if you remember, that was in Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar, and it was stuck in the mud. That's something that and I'll say this, that's something that makes no damn sense. I don't know how this guy got this got that thing. And I don't even see the point in it, because those samples would have died out, because they can only live so much, and I think the whole thing would have been inactive after a while, that cooling system or whatever, and had it in the bottle. I don't know why they brought that element back up. That absolutely made no sense. I was like, what's the point of him having this? Anyways, he was trying to do his whole typical escape of, let me get an escape out of here so I can build something else. What happens is when they shut down the power gets shut down and everything. He walks out of the little train stupidly, and stuff like that, and all the steam coming in. Next thing you know, he runs into the Dilophosaurus, and you obviously hear the I can't make the Dilophosaurus noise. The noise they make if you've seen Jurassic Park. He goes back into the train. He goes back into the whole Tron area, but it's a little too late, little too thing. Another Dilophosaurus was already right then and there behind him, gets in there. Pretty much kind of a similar, ending of fate like Nedry had. So maybe the best thing is you don't have that bottle or something like that, because that's just a sign of bad news. And stuff like that. And he pretty much dies in a similar way Nedry from Jurassic Park died. It's just he eventually, the moment he gets spat on, the only thing is he got spat on multiple times, and the Dilophosaurs didn't eat him up at first, but then they killed him. It was similar to like that. Yeah, it was just, I feel like that's just morely a callback to what happened to Nedry. That was kind of an homage to what happened to Nedry in the first Jurassic Park movie, because he got killed by the Dilophosaurus. And like I said, it was a long damn time since we seen the Dilophosaurus. Like shit. When I know my dad was in the movie and he's watched the original Jurassic Park, and he was looking at me and he was looking at my sister. He's like, that's the one dinosaur that spits on you and shit and stuff like that. So yeah. What happens is they end up doing that and stuff like that. They end up finding a helicopter to get out. But you get this, like I said, the final climax battle between the T-Rex and the Gigantosaurus, which they teased earlier in the film. But this time the T-Rex goes in. At first the T-Rex loses, but when this sharp clawed dinosaur gets involved, the T-Rex has that moment to where the light focuses on his pupils and he gets back up. And the T-Rex starts fighting again and stuff like that. And he works, and just like in Jurassic World, he had him and Blue work together to take down the Indominus Rex. It's kind of a here between. It was kind of a team up between the T-Rex and this sharp clawed dinosaur to take down the Gigantosaurus. Gigantosaurus. And pretty much the thing gets impaled because the T-Rex just pushes it into the thing and it gets impaled dead. They get out of there safely. Movie ends off after they get back. They're like, I'll say, informing everything that's been going on and stuff like that, releasing that to the public and stuff like that. You get a moment to where after this, Ellie and Alan have a discussion. She's like, well, I got to get the sample to my people and stuff like that so I can expose what's going on. I would love it if you come with me and stuff like that. And Alan, he's like, Ellie, you know what, I'm gonna come with you. I'm gonna go with you. And you have their kiss that they finally have, that we've been waiting for since the original Jurassic Park. If you've been a fan of what the original Jurassic Park, they finally have their moment where they kiss. You get a moment between Maisie, Owen, and Claire, the whole thing there and stuff like that, and her coming to terms about her mom and stuff like that. And then the movie pretty much ends off. And then Henry Wu, I forgot, Henry Wu, like I said, he realizes what he did was wrong, and he wants to test on Maisie to see if he can stop the locust. And it was the locust that freaking set the entire place on fire and shit like that. So yeah, that's what happens. He creates the thing. Henry Wu creates the thing to just take out the locust. So now there won't be a worldwide epidemic. Ellie and Alan, they're living together. They're pretty much together now, and they're pretty much alongside Ian. They're willing to expose what's been going on with biotech, while Maisie, Owen, and Claire, they all return Beta back to Blue. You have that goodbye between Owen and Blue and stuff like that, as Beta and Blue run off together and they go live off. Owen and his group go live off. And pretty much the end of the movie is like, well, now we have to adjust living with dinosaurs as the dinosaurs live with us and stuff like that. And you just have it where you have the scenes where some regular animals are living amongst the dinosaurs and coexisting with them and stuff like that. And that's it of Jurassic World Dominion. Like I said, it wasn't, the story wasn't as grandeur as anything. It was kind of honestly a mid, kind of an okay story, kind of just a toned down, smaller scale story. But ultimately, I surprisingly enjoyed it still. Throughout the craziness and some of the dumb plot lines and shit like that came in the movie. I still enjoyed this movie. Again, my favorite part being the one Velociraptor chase scene with Owen on the bike and stuff like that. That was kind of my thing there in terms of Jurassic World Dominion. And like I said, at the end of the day, I enjoyed this film. Some people may not enjoy it, some people may. I personally did, and I'm fine with that. But if you guys liked the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this movie and stuff like that, your thoughts on some of the spoilers. Be wary, some people may not have seen the movie, but anyways, that's kind of it. So I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. Until then, guys, catch you guys later. Peace.